Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good. Hey, DA, what's going on? And we are live. Hey, everybody. What's up? It's your girl, Camille, as the host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Tonight, my guest is returning friend to the show, DA Smalls. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Before we get started, everybody, just as a reminder, the Father's Day special has kicked off. So go right now to my website at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and use the coupon code DAD20. That's DAD20. That way you can save 20% off at the checkout. Earlier today, I did a surprise giveaway to some of my faithful shoppers and customers. I gave out randomly to some of my subscribers gift cards, which they can use towards their next purchase. So it does pay to subscribe because you never know. You may get an email saying, hey, guess what? You got a gift card. Also, you all, Chemistry Room Fragrances, we do have the Good Black Men merchandise out there. So we have new arrivals. So be sure to grab that as well and use that coupon code GBM15. That way you can save 15% on the checkout. And it's a good time to get it. We don't want to wait till the last minute, because we do want to honor our fathers out there. So shop with me right now. And also go to my Instagram at Camille.Estic on Instagram and subscribe and follow me there, as well as my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm done plugging all the stuff. We'll do that again later. So that being said, what's up, DA? What is going on? What is new?
What's up, Queen? Everything's new. Just blessings after blessings after blessings.
So what's been going on since the last time you were here? I know the last time you were discussing dropping some new music, a new album. I'll kind of fill the viewers in on that.
So we're dropping a new album. It's called Nobody's Safe. We have a couple of singles that's coming out with some featured guests that'll be on there from Connecticut, some from Arkansas, and some I can't even disclose the names for at the time until some contracts are in place. So.
Okay. I'm excited to hear about that. So I hope I get the notification when that is finalized, right?
You'll be the first one to get it.
I appreciate it. I did listen to the other project and it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So as you know, here on the Speaker Podcast, when I bring the brothers on, I love talking about relationships, their perspective on love, and just all things regarding communication. So with that being said, DA, I know, ladies, a lot of times we talk about what we need out of a relationship, but from the male perspective, what do you feel like a man needs from a relationship? Because it seems like it goes beyond just food, hugs, love. Like, what is it that men really need to thrive in a healthy relationship?
Hold on now, because food, hugs, and love is now.
Those are essential.
Those are some essential things, but
the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
That's exactly what's needed.
Yeah.
To be honest, men, the support is just majorly a huge thing. The mental support, allowing us to actually verbally dream to you, and for a man to not be able to be like their dream to be looked down on or doubted. So it's a beautiful thing, and not only that, equally yoked. What I lack in, God will definitely provide it. You got to be there spiritually with us connected. Understanding that as a man, we don't get everything right and we don't know anything, but you help us in those times, and in doing so, all it does is create even a more unique bond, and the intimate side of it. And I'm not speaking sexual; it thrives more. So that would do a lot. Add God in the equation first and foremost, and just supporting our dreams, allowing us to dream to you is something very huge for men.
Yeah. Do you feel that women, particularly Black women, do we really understand the pressure that men are under every day, as far as what we see in the world when we're talking on that your talking point as far as the support that a man needs out of a relationship? Just because out there's so much hell that you go through every day, then to come home and you have to war out there and at home, and this should be a sanctuary, a place of peace.
So I can't speak for every woman, but majority of them, I don't believe they understand the pressures. And
Mhm,
even when they understand the pressures, they're looking for women have a stability mindset. And it's not saying that men don't, but when women have a stability mindset and a man is a dreamer,
mhm,
and he's not in that stable form that it looks like while operating in his dream, they wouldn't understand what it's like for the pressures of a
mhm,
man to be able to like operate in his dream, focus on it, and have that support, how to do it,
mhm,
and you can't fault everybody at the same time, because sometimes it's not taught. It's just so much of a generational thing that's, hey, if he's not stable, or if
yeah,
this doesn't look like this, stay in that position, or move yourself until this looks like this. And you have no idea what God is doing in you that's helping this man, and what's doing in him that's helping you as far as a relationship.
mhm. So do you feel like, oh, and I do want to get into this as far as the saying goes, if you marry for potential, you're going to divorce because of the reality. So, what is the difference between someone that has potential versus someone that's actually working towards something and supporting and riding with him versus the someone that just they have potential?
So potential, um,
Because we all have the potential, right? I mean,
potential potential is a good thing, but I definitely, and this, hey fellas, don't hate me for this. I definitely wouldn't strive on a man that just has potential. He has the need to be operating in some way, shape, or form of that potential. He has
mm,
to show himself and that he can do this, and not just for his family, but also for him to meet those
mhm,
needs, because potential can be 15, 20 years, and you potentially be always broke, or to potentially living paycheck to paycheck, or potentially harming your family, just
mhm,
because women thrive on potential. And you don't want to do that right there. You actually want to make sure that the man is doing exactly what he said he's going to do, or at least striving in those areas of the potential that he has.
mhm. Yeah. So, and then that slides over into the next part of that as far as something else you brought out. Um, we were joking, but seriously, love versus respect. Because, and that's something I'm hearing more as I listen to other men speak as far as, and I'm not meaning like respect, like I'm the man, I'm the head, da, 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 like beat on my chest, but as far as like having a genuine respect for him versus love. Because when I'm learning, just listening to men talk, you equate love to respect. Is that right?
We do. We do
How?
equate love to respect. Well, if we're properly loving each other correctly, the
Mhm,
respect will be there, because you understand my position in the household. I understand yours. I understand that we're not going to get everything right, but as long as we're communicating, that's definitely a level of respect that a lot of people don't have.
mhm,
They also want to be so high and so right that they forget the other person may not be at the level that they're at, and don't understand why they think the way they think. So we never sit down and take the time to figure that out. But I remember hearing somebody say, the Bible says, men, love your wives. It never said anything about women, love your husbands. And I remember he was speaking on about you should respect your husbands. And when he said that, I never understood the level that he was speaking from. But in respecting, in man loving his wife correctly, that woman will love and respect him in his position that he's supposed to uphold. It just comes hand in hand. That's if he's doing his job properly.
Mm. Okay, so then my next question is, what should he be doing to get the respect? Like, what are some examples of that? Is it just more than going out to work every day? Like, hitting the checks, but what does that look like?
So different relationships require different things. That's why that communication is just key factor. Because um, for one, before a man even gets to that relationship, he needs to be operating in a sense of that he already has that family. So when he gets to his job, he need to be thinking about not just how much my bachelor is, how my one bedroom is, but he needs to be operating in the sense of, okay, I have wife, I have kids, and when he operates in that sense, by the time he gets to his wife and his kids, he's already been operating in that. So that's out the way. So now he has to be open minded. Now he has to remember that whomever his wife is has not been with him for X amount of years, don't know how he operates, and he doesn't know how she operates. We only got a small, like description or depiction of how they operate based off of dating or courting or whatever the case may be. So now he needs to have an open mind that, hey, to love my wife properly is to listen to her, to communicate properly my emotions or how I feel, and to communicate properly when she tells me what she needs. And she'll tell you what she needs, not only by verbally speaking it, but by body language, um, how she looks at certain things. Those are things that you have to do as a man. And when doing such a thing, she will, that respect will be just like in her. It's so embedded in her. It's crazy.
So pretty much you're saying that he needs to take the time to just to learn her.
Take the time to learn her.
Okay. So then I know women, we are always communicating, but what does communication look like when a man has gone through trauma or he's coping through a situation that may have happened to him in the past? Like, how do women, two-part question. One, well, first question is, how is the space that the man and the woman they create to make it safe to communicate and knowing that, hey, I can tell you this and it's not going to be weaponized or used against me later?
So I remember when we was on here one day and we was talking about this with a group of us. Um, the one that's yours
Mhm.
truly will have a set of feelings or even emotions, or her spirit will recognize that this man has been traumatized, and
Mm.
she'll be willing to listen. She'll be willing to understand even when he does things differently. Her motives will never change about her relationship. um, Weaponize is a good word that I love that you use all the time. If their trauma or anything that they've told you have been weaponized over and over again, just be prepared just to wait. You're gonna have to, because the man, we 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 look at patterns, and if we see anything that's accustomed to what we've been seeing for such a long time during that trauma, when verbalizing that to a woman, we won't say anything. We'll show it, but we won't say anything.
So there's like a wall, or there's an already a distrust because he's like, well, the last time I opened up, somebody used it against me, so I don't feel safe. Like, it's not safe for me to come out and play, pretty much.
It's not, very much not safe, and we speak a lot of different ways. Gym, hanging out with the boys, going out, all of that stuff. You'll know, especially when a man wants to be out 24/7 and not at home.
I never thought about that. Isn't that like I won't say avoidance, but there's a lack of comfort. So he goes to places that are familiar.
He does, and sometimes because he doesn't know how to verbalize it to you. He'll wait till you'll open up the door. He won't just speak on it. He'll wait till you open up the door. But sometimes it's too late. By that time you've been going out, and the house is taken care of. Yeah, financially, but by the time she get to the point where she like, well, you're always gone and all of this, now it blows up to, an argument, as opposed to him saying, look, this is what's going on. I don't feel comfortable yet opening up to you because of such and such. As long as you communicate that with your woman, she can understand. I'm not saying that she'll always wait for an extended period of time, but she'll
Mm.
have a level of understanding.
So then, how who goes first? Because I mean, at some point, someone has to talk, right?
The man, he should.
But we
He
know
should.
because I hear so many times like women are going, "Well, what's going on? Are you okay?" And it's nothing. I'm good. I'm cool. And we know something's wrong.
Well, that's because they haven't developed that level of relationship. Most people they jump to sex, and sex is if it's not if you're not so intimate with your partner, you could just have sex and still be broken.
Mm.
Because it's a temporary fix, for the time. So she thinks she's done a due diligence because now he got a smile on his face and, or bought him something and not knowing that he's still broken. So the man should really take the time to get counseling prior, um, be able to try to open up. Males, we should actually be there for each other and communicate that to our brothers. Like, hey, your first option should be your woman to talk to. That shows her that you trust her. You telling me everything, and I'm coming there all the time knowing what's going on, and she doesn't know anything. That's a lack of trust. That might show how much you're not ready actually for that relationship.
Okay, so you touched on something that I wanted to know as we're having this conversation. A lot of men don't talk. They'll hang out, they play ball, they go work out, but really talking, no, because then it's like fear of being ridiculed, fear of someone making fun of them. Like, oh man, I can't believe you're crying over her. Like, so how do men create a space where they feel comfortable to open up and share and talk without um being ridiculed for being vulnerable and not being um not having their orientation questioned or their manhood questioned? How does that happen?
That depends on the man, and I truly believe with healing, you're not going to be truly all the way healed. There's just some things that in the relationship that God is going to allow her to help you heal in.
Mm.
But the man, he really needs to seek help when it comes down to that. Like I said, men, we have to start letting our men know that it's okay to be vulnerable with your woman. That actually draws you closer to her. Um, I remember one point in time, like I stayed in the gym not because I loved the gym, but because it
Mm.
was a way for me to speak. Like the weights didn't have nothing to say back. So all I could do was throw those weights around,
Can
and
you
I
break
was
that
in,
down a little bit? Can you break
oh,
that down a little bit? Like, what do you mean by the weights don't speak
so
back?
I was more so everything that I was saying was being weaponized.
Mm.
But that person actually didn't ever want it to be married. So with that being said, like if
Wait, you wanted to be married, but she did not.
yeah,
Hmm.
so everything, it was so many like debates and arguments and stuff like that. So I started getting very close with the gym because the gym was my place of I could throw up as much weight, I can throw these weights around and they couldn't say anything back. It was a way for me to take out any aggression, any upsetness that I had, but it was a temporary fix because by the time I finished there and I came back home, I stayed in the gym at least 6, 7 hours of my day.
Wait, whoa, that's a long time.
It is. I mean, it's broken up, but you got to think 2 and 3 hours in the gym, spaced out over a 24-hour period. At least 8 of those hours you getting sleep. So that is a very long time. But that's how much that's how broken I was prior to the relationship, and that's how much the relationship impacted me as well by not being able to speak on those things.
Okay, so do men I guess I'm trying to thread the psychology. I'm analytical anyway, but just threading together the psychology. So for some men, not all, but some men, they either dig into work or like the gym, or they become overachievers like in their brands or businesses as far as chasing money or education or combination of all these things. So pretty much, are you saying it's like a coping mechanism or a way to like
Yes,
um check out, I guess,
it
or
is.
challenge?
It is. It's very much of a coping mechanism. It's a way. If, like I said, if your person is spending more time out at some place, you might want to reevaluate your relationship and figure out what is it. Don't say what is it that he's doing wrong. Ask yourself what is it that you're not saying that's right. And then at the same time, because what happens is we like to point the finger at each other instead of just saying, okay, what can I fix about myself? Like, so me, I use me for an example. Um, because I was in the gym a lot and I was playing football and doing every other thing to cope with the lack of healing. I remember at one point in time, she was like, hey, you're not home. You're here with your son, but you're not here with me. And so what I did was to make sure that this relationship was a relationship that was for me. I stayed out of the gym for probably about 3 months, 3 or 4 months. I stopped playing football. I wanted to see, hey, okay, what is it that I can fix that's going to make our relationship better? But it didn't get better because she never wanted to be married. So that was just a way of her saying that's why this relationship was wrong. But it really wasn't. It wasn't until I took counseling and the counselor told me, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Are you
The
fine?
counselor, the counselor told me, the counselor told me that she didn't want to be here, that she didn't even want to try to fix the relationship. And she told me I didn't have to continue the counseling if I didn't want to. I told her because I was tired of being broken that hey, I wanted to learn more about myself and how can I communicate better because I didn't speak up. I always used to say I'm okay, knowing that I was broken, knowing that I was hurt, because I didn't have nobody to vocalize that with. And that's another thing that makes males go to other females. If another female ever gives him that vulnerability where he could be vulnerable with them, then that's how cheating happens. That's why males sometimes stay at work because they got somebody there that's actually showing them that sense of, and then those overachievers come into play because everybody is the women are like always there at their disposal. So it's just so much to it.
So is that like where the work wife comes into play? I hear people talk about they have a work wife or work the work spouses because they have someone they can connect to in this workspace. And you think about it, you're at work so many hours a day, every day, interacting with other people, and you begin to, you're achieving together, hitting those goals on the job and getting that affirmation. Oh, you did great on this project, or that was good. So is that how that happens?
That is how that happens. And
Wow.
males, you shouldn't do that, especially if you're married. I don't care what your household look like. Don't say you got no work wife, because what you speak into existence shall come true at some point in time. And women, if you married to a male, I mean, as a woman, just I'm gonna give you a secret. If we're
Okay.
at work 24/7, bringing home money and being there how we're supposed to and supplying, providing in every way, shape, or form, send your man everything that you talk to him constantly. I don't care if you text. I don't care if your husband and wife, send them a little sexy stuff. Let them know that hey, I'm here
Say
for
what?
you when you get home. Yeah, that man will, because I'm out here. I'm going home. I ain't got time for y'all work wife. I ain't got time for none of y'all. I'm going home.
Okay, so I'm laughing, but I love listening to different podcasts, particularly in this lane. And there was, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was for married people, and they were saying that when it comes to the physical part of marriage, as far as in the bedroom and sex, that foreplay is all day before you get home. So when you do come home and it's time for that, mentally you're already there because from the time you wake up until the end of the day, affirmations, or like you said, maybe a text, or just, hey, just, and not just for that, but just throughout the relationship, like it's a mental thing. I think a lot of men don't understand for women. And what's it saying? If you get her mind, the body will follow. So
And if
it's,
you lose her mind, it's over with.
oh gosh, that's a whole nother show. But as far as just women love to be reaffirmed. Not all, but most women like to feel safe. There's a sense of security, and it's not, and it's some physical, but a lot of it is psychological security, knowing where she fits in your life, and not just your position, but in hearing your heart. And so when I think that is communicated and understood, and then and you include the acts of affirmation, which is the five love languages, and whatever your love language is, and you operate in that lane, not how you want to be loved, but operating how that other person wants to be loved. Because maybe for you, it's not acts of kind or gifts. Maybe your thing is affirmation and saying, "Hey, Da, thank you for fixing the wall tiles," or things like that. So just learning, like you mentioned before, what that person's language is and observing. So what were your thoughts on that?
Um, don't give nobody your love language. Don't tell them what it is. Allow them
Mm,
to earn it. Allow them to earn your love language. That shows how much that they're actually paying attention to you, that they actually want to know. I know one thing I used to tell um, even the mother of my child. I used to be like, teach me to be the man that you need me to be.
mm,
And teach me to be the man that you want to love. Meaning, like, if I'm doing something that I know irritates you, or if I don't know it irritates you, let me know that that's irritating. Not in the way of where it's combative, but let me know that, hey, hey, I really don't like the way this happened, or the way this feels, or whatever the case may be. That way, I know how to be the proper man that you need me to be to you. It doesn't mean that I have to change up everything, but as
yeah.
far as like love languages, um, just truly, like, just pay attention to your woman. Because sometimes they don't even know their love language because it changes over. It changes over time.
So you said don't tell someone what your love language is, because I love psychology, particularly with like I love studying about narcissism, and one of the things that they do is called mirroring. So you think in the beginning when they're asking you all these questions, "Hey, what do you like? Whatever." It's not because they want to know; it's because they want to mirror a behavior, and then they're going to act in that way accordingly in the face, called love bombing. So you think, oh, he's so great, so great because they're doing X, Y, Z, and they'll do it so long to bait you or love bomb you because they're only reflecting or mirroring because you told them. And then
Yeah.
once they get you hooked, then they start coming in for the job. So I think that's very important that you don't tell somebody your expectations. I mean, of course, there are some deal breakers that you need to communicate, but I think in the beginning, for me, I think it's more about observation, just watching what they say, what they don't say, watch how they act, or things with what they do and what they don't do. I think that's a telltale sign, because people can say whatever, but their action, I think that says a lot.
Am I still on the screen?
Yeah, you're here. I know you
Okay.
guys have a storm. It's raining here too.
Yeah, it's really bad, so it's not showing anything. But yes, I'm gonna say we as a whole. If you tell me your love language, it's a cheat code, and if I want what I want, I'm gonna operate in every love language that you've told me. And simple fact, I'm gonna get what I want, and then you think that person is there for you, and they're not. They've achieved everything that they needed to achieve because you've given them that. They never took the time to study you or spend time with you or whatever the case may be. So um, I know a lot of people would disagree with that, like tell them your love language, but
Mhm.
no, if I care about you enough, I'm studying you. I'm actually spending time paying attention to what's going on. how you look at shoes, what you dislike, what you smile at, what you don't smile at. Um,
Yeah.
I like the song Joe. I want to know. He said.
That
He
was a
said,
dog. First of all, that Joe does he has not been given his flowers, and that song right there is a real bop. I love me some Joe. Like, yeah.
"It is." And he said that he wished that I could take a. He said, "I wish that I could take a journey through your mind so I could see the emotions that you try to hide." And
Mm,
that's what that is. A man takes a journey when he's love your wife. That's what it says. It says men love your wives. Take a journey through their mind, see what's going on. Just sit there, listen to the drama, feel stuff that's going on, because sometimes they'll tell you a lot about themselves, how they like, what they don't like to be said, not just by the people at work, but by you.
mm. Okay, so kind of switching gears in the same lane, we look at I had a conversation. Actually, I was talking to my cousin. Shout out to I Give there in Jacksonville, Florida, and we were talking today about um, worthiness in relationships. Like sometimes, why do people choose the people they've chosen in their past, even though that person was or was not healthy? And when you look at it as far as worthiness, and then you get to a point where you think, oh, this person is great, but something inside of you, you don't feel worthy, and then you go into self-sabotage. So how do men do that? Like why do men do that? Is it for that very same reason? Or is it something deeper? But I'm just interested in your your ideas on that.
Um,
Because it seems like
well,
men do sabotage good, like it's a good thing, like everything is smooth and then boom.
when you,
Like
when you're not used to seeing something um, good all the time, and you're used to a lot of bad stuff happening, when all those good things going well, you waiting for the bad. So sometimes you invoke the bad because you're so much waiting on it. Mentally, you're there, and you may start doing and acting upon it um, because you've always seen so much bad. So most of us don't know how to respond to good that's going on in our life, because we assume that we should be having bad lives because what we've seen or what we endured. And so yes, we sabotage.
like a case of too good to be true. Like what is that?
It is. It's a case of too good to be true. What's wrong? They want to see what's the wrong. I used to tell her, I used to tell the mother of my child, like, let me see the crazy side of you, because that
What?
I need to know if I can love you through that crazy side. Let
Do
me
you need to
know.
know if she's gonna go like Jasmine Sullivan on you and bust the windows like you
I
need
I need to know, because everybody has a level of crazy at some point in time. Everybody has a level of upsetness that their partner has never seen. Let
Gary
me see.
Hilton said every woman has a breaking point.
They do. They do. They don't have to get to it, but they do. Some of them get to it sooner than they
I
should.
mean, y'all be trying us sometimes, like for real. So
We
I was,
feel we feel tried though as men.
do you? Okay, so let how do men feel tried? How?
Like I said, we dream. We want to give you the best of the best, and a lot of the times we're giving you the best that we have, but you seen something on the internet, social media, and somebody got something better. You're living so much of in the social world that you forget to love the now that you have. Like J. Cole said, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. And that's true. Like my life is the best life that I have right now. And then it can improve, but I don't need to look at nobody else's life and base it off of there. And women do that a lot. And they make men live up to an expectation that they shouldn't have to live up to right then and there.
Okay, so excuse me. Social media is so fake, and I think a lot of people, men and women, they base things on posts, not knowing some of these celebrity relationships are arranged and staged for branding purposes where they're not even really together at all. It's just good for their brands. Some of these, oh my God, they're on vacation. And it's like this whole photo shoot, like it's on their schedule. Like vacation is a part of their schedule. And they have a whole crew you don't see in this photo, but they snap this perfect picture. And then you think this is the couple, this is my dream couple. And it's not even real. So to base that off a post, and that is your template, I think that's problematic.
It very much is. It really is.
So
And the only way we can fix that is to actually start being honest with the people in this world, like what you're actually going through. I think I seen somebody who did a podcast on social media. They was living in their car and they was vlogging it and basically showing you like, hey, this is my steps to get my own place. So I'm gonna work, I'm gonna live in my car, I'm gonna shower at the QT gas station. And they show that, and other people go through that type of stuff, but nobody is saying, and that gave her a lot of respect, a lot of different things. I'm not saying you have to vlog it all the time, but just be
mhm,
honest. Like, hey, I don't have everything together. Like you don't have to live in a fantasy world.
mhm. As far as posting, so I want to say like 3 weeks ago, I watched a couple of episodes of Married at First Sight. A lot of those shows I don't care for, but for whatever reason, I was bored. It was like in the Netflix top 10. So I clicked on a couple of episodes, and there was this one particular couple, and they got into this heated conversation because after they had gotten married, um, the girl, she took her phone and was recording the guy sleeping, like snoring. And according to him, it pushed him into like an anxiety attack or whatever. So he got really upset. He was mad. And so one of the biggest arguments they had, she's always on her phone, no matter what. She's on her phone, taking pictures of the food. Like it was like, are you in this to get to know me, or are you doing this for social media? Because I think she had like 15,000 followers on Instagram at the time. It's probably more now, but he felt like this whole, and he had some issues too, but he said that he was there to find the love of his life, not because this was good for my PR on my Instagram.
So,
And so
you know,
now we're going into the whole conversation about being present, living in the moment in the relationship. Like, okay, picture here and there, but do we have to take a picture of every trip, everything? We're in matching pajamas at Christmas. Like,
depending on who you are, if you're an influencer, some people want to live that life with you. They want to feel like they've grown with you, and some people understand that. So, like as a Christian hip hop artist, as much private as I want to be, sometimes I got to understand that some people want to like walk that journey with you.
mhm,
And so there's certain things that I'll post on there, sharing, hey, going here, doing this. Sometimes, not because I want to, but like I said, because I understand that, hey, these people like to grow with you. Like they like to see where you came from, so they feel like they can do it as well. And I know what episode you're referring to. The mother of my child watches that a lot, so I actually seen that particular
oh, you
episode.
did see it.
I did, and he got upset. No, I ain't even gonna go on that. No, he was not looking for love. They came on that show for for purposes. So, but um, no, we don't have to show everything. Some of the best relationships or even lifestyles are kept private, and it's so good for them. They show what they want to show when they need to. They keep everybody out of their business, so it's just them and their spouse and their children. That way they can grow together.
Yeah, I think sometimes people, and like you said, I know there's some, like you look at Russell and Sierra, they post everything all the time. And then sometimes you get too much, like Will and Jada. It's like, oh God, if I hear one more thing about what's going on, of course, like Russell and Sierra, okay, beautiful couple, great marriage. Oh, we love the kids. But then you have the other end where it's just super toxic, like Will and Jada, where it's like, we don't want to hear anymore. So there has to be a balance. But then what part of the relationship do you keep like this is our thing? Because it's like I married you, not your Instagram page, not your TikTok.
That has to be established up front. I can't particularly say what part of the man. I mean, sex is definitely one that you just keep to yourself. You don't let nobody know the positions and stuff that y'all go through, and all that other stuff. Because most of the time, when a person does that, they're broadcasting so other people can come into their relationship. And they're basically like they're married, but they're single. They're looking for somebody to follow them, they can do their thing on the side, male or female. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a definite, that intimate part. Um, Finances, I think that definitely should be kept to yourselves. You endanger everybody in your family when a lot of people know what your finances is,
Mm-hmm.
and all your trips that you're going on too, because they assume that you have money regardless if you got it or not, and that's how you end up, getting robbed or, some other crazy stuff that's going on. So, I,
Yeah. And then I do want to turn the corner just a little bit as far as, excuse me, talking about men and relationships as far as the male perspective. First of all, I do want to say thank you for joining me here tonight again. And also want to welcome people. If you're just tuning in, this is coming out as the Coast of the Speaker podcast. And I'm sitting down with DA Smalls. So, DA, excuse me, um, in a relationship, we were talking at the beginning of the conversation about men, trauma, mental health, relationships, love. But what does that look like when there are hurts, pain, frustrations that have gone unchecked because of the pride? He won't go to therapy and you're masking behind working out, but yet inside you're broken because maybe there was child abuse you experienced growing up. So instead of facing that and dealing with that broken little boy, it's like physically you're a male, but psychologically you're a boy. So when that is unchecked, how does that show up in a relationship? Is it through anger, violent? Like what is the the downside to that?
I'm glad you asked that actually, because that was me for a long time.
Really?
As being a grown man, I can truly say at the age of 27, um, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Things wasn't checked. It wasn't until I came back. I left Nebraska. So many things went wrong, and this guy got a funny way of doing things. So many things went wrong in Nebraska, and my father never ever said, "Hey, I'll pay for a plane ticket for you to come home." It just so happened to be he was like, I pay for a plane ticket for you to come home. So I'm like, all right, God, whatever you about to do. It took some healing. It took me as a boy to actually face everything that took place, where I came from, where all the trauma started. Not everybody has to go through that, but most of the time, where the trauma started is where your healing begins. When you get away from those things, when you come back to it. There were some people that I had to apologize to, some things that I've done. It traumatized them and it hurt me because whatever my spirit was, it was just messed up. So, um, what it looks like is aggression. It looks anger. It looks silence. Um, all you'll see is a smile on a person's face, but they're truly really hurt. You never get a chance to see what their upsetness looks like, because behind closed doors they're drowning themselves in liquor and drugs and sex and whatever the case may be. So that's what an internal child that has never grown into an adult looks like. That's true. I'm actually writing a song on that called Inner Child, and it's talking about the things that we wish we had as a child growing up, like the confidence we wish we had, the morale boosters from our parents that we wish we got. A lot of that stuff, how it sticks with you, and that inner child that's so stuck with you as an adult hasn't been dealt with yet. So,
So what about having the permission to process that and giving yourself as a man, and particularly for black men, the permission to process and to experience those emotions in a way that's healthy.
that's going to come to another male. A
Mm,
male has to show another male that, hey, it's okay to be like this. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay to talk about what's going on. Um, Most of the time, if a male looks for from it through a woman, I'm not going to say that it can't get done, but I'm definitely going to say that um, it won't be as fulfilled, because he got so many temporary fixes in there. She's showing affection, she's cooking. Nothing has really not been dealt with. It's just been masked and covered over.
mm.
So um, it just goes back to men. We really have to be vulnerable with other men and let them know, like, hey, it's okay. You can talk. your masculinity is not diminished based off of you crying or shedding tears or some of your deepest moments. It actually makes you stronger. And like I said, we got a group of men that's like that now. We talk with each other, we communicate, and it actually helps our relationship as well.
Mhm. So for men, I'm having those conversations, discussing. I'm not a man. I don't want to be a man, but just trying to understand. So men are built on the idea of achievement, um, hitting the next goal, the next win, the next level all the time. Like very competitive. So when you feel like you're failing in your relationship, that's something that you did not win at. So does that impact something in your mind when you feel like, man, this is something I want, but I'm not getting it right?
It does, but we live so much in a society now where if we're not getting it right, we think we should just up and leave because we think it's the other person when truly it's us. So it's going to take some realization to actually understand. It's going to take a man to be like, look, I'm jacked up, and this is why my relationship ain't working. And not, hey, this person doing all the wrong stuff, so let me find the right person for me. That mentality right there have so many people jacked up and bouncing around from relationship to relationship.
Yeah, I saw a video. I want to say it may have been over the weekend, and there was Shaquille O'Neal, and he was discussing his marriage to Shawnee at the time, which now she's engaged to Pastor Keon Henderson. They're actually getting married over the weekend. But he was discussing how their marriage fell apart, and he said it was all me. He said she did her thing. She did what she was supposed to do. She was taking care of the management stuff, the household stuff. She played her position. She understood the assignment. She was doing what she was supposed to do. He said it was me. He took full responsibility for that. And I wonder how many men really do. And now he's older, and you can hear in his voice like the regret because now he's at a age in his life, like you've accomplished all this stuff, like you're a basketball icon, but now he's looking at himself inwardly as an older maturing man, and that's the one thing that he regrets that he did not do well was his marriage and that relationship, and of all the awards and rings and championships, but that thing is what sticks out to him is the fact that you did all this, but you couldn't do that.
Because we feel like we're winning if we're winning financially or if our name is being mentioned in the highest of highest. We feel like our winning if I could step on stage with my wife and it makes so much of a memorable moment if she, say, hey, I trust in my husband and he does the best that he can. She fakes the funk. They feel like they're winning and nothing has never been dealt with. Like I said, it's temporary fixes. If I do that on a red carpet with my wife, you think she's not coming home and we're not gonna lay it down on each other and then for another 2 weeks while everybody talking about our names, they're
Yeah,
gonna be, we're gonna forget about all of those things until it comes back up, and that's we like to mask stuff. We mask it, put duct tape on it, whatever it is, to try to repair it really fast, but we never break it down to like let it be fixed and transformed actually.
yeah, that's really good. So, looking at my notes here as we get to the last question, I brought it up before, and I'm not really into like pop culture as far as what we always talk about on the show. We do bring it up as a reference point, but I do want to highlight how there have been comparisons between certain past personalities saying, "Oh, well, he's a simp, and this is the real person over here." But isn't how is being a husband, loving God, and taking care of your family? How is that being a simp? I don't see how that's even debatable. But
I
it
don't
is
even know
okay.
what's a simp.
It's short for simple, being simple or
Oh,
basic,
okay, okay,
like
okay,
being
okay.
basic. Yeah.
It's not simple. It's not. Um, People live this controversial life, and they want everybody else to live this controversial life, or these lavish, so-called lavish lives when they really hurt. Like really you just want to be at home, spending time with your family. And if you have to travel in order to minister to help other people to do the same thing, that's what this is about. If you want to continue to call it simple, so be it. Try it then. If it's so simple,
I just feel
try
like
it.
it's so much harder when you're lying and trying to juggle multiple men and or women. To me, that seems like it would be more taxing trying to keep storyline straight or all these people versus just focusing and getting the best out of the one person that could be, you know, everything you need. But how can you get, to me, it's like Frankensteining a person because you're getting a piece of this, a piece of that, a piece. You're just getting pieces, but never a whole anything.
You're getting pieces, and I'm gonna take it a little bit deeper. As you're getting pieces from these other people, you're taking pieces of that spirit that's attached to them, whether it's negative or positive. You're taking a piece of that with you, and so you'll never
Can
truly.
you break that down a little bit? Unpack that.
So I'm gonna go really deep and really fast with this. It's a reason why even God even asks us to, have sex only with your wife, with the one woman. Um, and for women to do that with a male. I mean, obviously we don't. He knows that. God knows that. Um, but the reason why is because the moment we interact and we go to that level of relationship with somebody, we take on everything that they have and they take on everything that we have. So if you have so much baggage spiritually and any demons that's been attached with that, that attaches to you and you take on what they take on. That's why you feel what they feel sometimes. That's why you're like, why is everything going down the drain? You never dealt with it. You've only dealt with the physical, but you've never touched anything in the spiritual. You don't know what's sitting on them and you don't know what you dropped on them and what they dropped on you. So you got to remember when you bounce from relationship to relationship and nothing spiritual has been dealt with, you take on everything that every person has, a piece of everything that every person has. That's why he speaks about legions of them, legions of demons, because you take on all of that stuff and you take it into you. You take it into you.
That's a whole nother conversation. That is so, like you said, that was deep. Wow. I do want to wrap things up here as we're getting close to the end of the show. We have really unpacked some heavy things here. We've talked about the permission to process. We've talked about men and trauma. We've talked about communication in relationships. We've talked about when hurt goes unchecked. Um, so much here. And even in these conversations, when I bring you back, it's like, I don't know about the listeners and viewers, but it just opens up my mind more as far as things to think about when you are in a space when you're being prepared for marriage. Um, or if you choose to date, like what to watch for, what to look out for. I think it's very imperative. A lot of times we're so caught up in, oh, she's cute, he's fine, whatever, whatever. But are you really looking at the character, the integrity? Because on paper, they can be the right fit, air quotes, they can hit all the checks. Um, Whether the look you're going for, the education, the finances, all of those things, but their character, their spiritual life, the integrity, how they walk every day as a person, as a man, as a woman, to me, that's what matters, you know?
That's real. That's
That,
real and that's honest.
yeah. Because if you marry this person and you get sick, they're out the door. What? The vows say in sickness and in health. What if you're sick and you can't bathe yourself? Is this person going to stay and bathe you? Are they going to run off with the home health nurse? I'm serious. Seriously, it's you have to look at. Are you going to live me through the situation? Someone said that marriage is cyclical. You have your ups and your downs. What if you're in a valley in your relationship in your marriage for 2 or 3 years, and there's an upswing, but will you stay around for it to come back up again? Because life is
Most
filled
of
with.
the time, most of the time they won't. And again, the only reason I know marriage is more difficult than bouncing around from relationships as well. It's difficult because it exemplifies the unity of Christ. It exemplifies that, hey, I can love you through the ups and downs. That's why God said, love them as I have loved you. Because marriage shows, hey, I can love you when you tick me off. I can love you when finances ain't looking correctly. I can love you when we eating bread and hot dogs instead of eating steak and potatoes. I can love you with all of these conditions right here. And so when it gets down to that, love you till death do us part, and till sickness and health, you know, it's like we change over time, and most people can't deal with change. They want what they got into the relationship with. They want that, whether that person was, 110 pounds and abs and all that. They want all of that. And then, when that person changes that up, now their image, instead of them like, hey, I still love you, or let me help you in this, now they're like, well, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to stay with. They can't accept change in the relationship. And even as you get older, you may have like foot rubs when you was 20. Now you 40, you don't want foot rubs, you want neck massages, and he not giving you neck massages because all he knew was you like foot rubs. We don't study those things. That's why I say, men, please just study your wives, and pay attention to what's going on, for real, because it will make a better relationship. Never think that you know everything in your relationship, you know, never.
Yeah, I've heard some people say they've had throughout their marriages, particularly the ones that are, I would say, 25 years and up, that they every so many years they renew their vows because the person you married in 98, 2002, 2012 is not the same person in 20 or 21. And so now you're committing yourself to that person and where they are at that point to the next one. And excuse me, I never thought about it like that. But yeah, so I've heard that, and I've also heard, and I listen to older people talk as far as love and relationships because to make it that long, 20 years, 25 years, they've endured some life changes, So I think to hear from those generations, I think is very important. Of course, they did marry in a different time, but I think the struggle is still the same. I think now a lot of people they don't endure because this society is so quick, so fast. A lot of it has to do with social media and what we see. And so this idea of perfection, and the first time you color outside the lines, I'm out.
That's it. That's it. First time you color outside the line, they out. They don't know how to endure.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
definitely, as we wrap up, I do want to say thank you for joining me. Did you want to leave any type of like word of wisdom, nugget, jewel, before we wrap up everything?
Um, Look, and not just relationships, just people. You never know what a person has been through. So truly love them to the extent that you can't love no more. Um, love them unconditionally as God loves you and your rights and your wrongs. And just remember, like, when a person does something to you, remember they've been impacted in a certain way that made them do those things. And it's not, maybe it might not even be you, but it may be something that they went through. So learn to study that person, learn to not look at their wrongs for just wrongs. Actually try to understand why they do, how they tick, what's going on, and love them still unconditionally like that. And by doing that, that would actually help a person transform their lives entirely for the best, whether it's with you or whether it's with the next person, you know.
That's really good. And where can people find you on social media? Because you do have new music, a new album that's coming out really soon. I can't wait to hear about it. So, where can people follow you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram at I am DA Smalls. You can find me on YouTube at Truth Laws ENT. You can find me on Twitter at DA Smalls, Facebook, DA Smalls. Go to my Spotify, D.A Smalls, and make sure you type in True Flaws because it'll pop up as Biggie Smalls if you don't. Um, and just go out there and have a good time. Listen to the music, share it with somebody, very transparent, very honest. Um, I don't justify anything I've ever done, and I always talk about victory in God. So that's what you can do.
Thank you so much. And everybody, I hope you got something from this episode of the Speaker Podcast. Just as a reminder, Father's Day sale is going on right now until June the 10th. So use the coupon code DAD20. That way you can save 20% at the checkout to save on the merch for your dad. Also, Chemistry Room Fragrances is out. I'm going to drop a new scent very soon. So make sure you go to my website, chemistryroomfragrances.com, and subscribe. That way, when it drops, you get the notification. I do hope that everyone got something from this episode of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. And thank you. Good night.